Hey everyone, we are back in Fort St. John.
Woo! We're happy to be back. It's been a little rough day. Bridget got attacked by a spider.
I did, and almost got attacked by a wasp, but you know what? We are resilient. We do our best, so we will survive and move on and have a great day nonetheless. Starting with Moose FM.
Moose FM.
So, let's go.
Hey, I'm Bernard from Moose FM here in Fort St. John. I am the Midday host and production director here.
Awesome. We're so excited to be back. Thanks for having us
again.
again.
It's really exciting when I got the email from you ladies and I was like, oh my goodness, you want to talk to me again? And I was like, it meant a lot. I felt kind of like important. I know I'm massaging my ego a little bit, but it was like, oh, okay, I would love to do this.
So what's new with you?
I would say, you know, as we grow here at Moose FM, you know, it gets really busy. We started selling more to clients. As a production director, I am responsible for producing all the commercials. That's what helps us get paid, because without commercials on the radio, we won't get paid. We wouldn't be able to pay the bills, and it's been a very busy time. We've been, you know, doing a lot of contests lately, like giving away money. We do a contest called Hit the Mark, and we just gave over $4,000 away to the people here in Fort St. John.
Oh, that is so exciting.
Oh, it is. And when you do that contest, the phone lines will be blown up, and sometimes it would even break our phones.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we've had a couple incidents of that.
But they always end well, I'm assuming.
They always end well, and you know, making the people happy here in FSJ, it's like the best thing ever. It's like, you know, at the end of the day, if you made them happy, you did a great job.
Aw, that's so sweet. In your role as production director, you know, you talked about making commercials and like organizing all these events and things, and having a lot on your plate. What would you say is your favorite, I guess, like part of your job, or the best thing that you get to do?
So as a production director, my favorite part would be producing like the creative commercials. Like, you know, you put all the sound effects, you come up with like a really cool script, and then when the client's like, holy moly, this is amazing, and that means a lot to me, because, you know, it's your work at the end of the day, and you made someone happy. That's what matters.
And you know, you're still hosting as well. How's hosting going?
It is going really, really well. Currently, I do the midday show from 10 till 2, letting people know, or keeping people entertained while they're in the office. Of course, doing contests as well, because people love that. And today, actually, I am filling in for the boss. So the boss usually hosts the afternoon show. I'm doing an afternoon show too. So it's going to be interesting filling in and making all the mistakes. But at the end of the day, if you make a mistake, you don't beat yourself up. You just do better. You just do better the next day.
Yeah, you can't learn if you don't make mistakes, you know? It's kind of like a stepping stone to getting to where you need to be in that sense.
Even when you have like 10 years of experience, you're always learning. You never stop learning when you're in radio, because it's always evolving. We're always introducing new ideas, new concepts. I would say just 10, 15 years ago, we didn't really, you know, do a lot of social media. Now we also create content. We kind of call ourselves content creators, because we have a responsibility now to connect with listeners through different platforms like TikTok, Instagram. So, you know, if you search Moose FM on Instagram or TikTok, you'll see us, you know, making fun videos and entertaining them there.
Do you have more fun like in the studio here live on air, or is your, I guess, passion more so in that content creation of having the ability to really tailor what the listeners are hearing?
radio is like the bread and butter. Of course, I will always have fun on the mic, but everything is interconnected because content can be repurposed on like Instagram and TikTok. Like the stuff you do for the radio, they can you can transfer them to TikTok and post them there. So just in case a listener missed that really good radio break of yours, they can listen there and they can give you a like, they can interact with it. That's why we do have webcams here too, as you see, because you can pretty much record yourself on that webcam and post it on social media platforms.
Would you say that storytelling is the reason that folks gravitate more towards the radio as opposed to, Apple Music or Spotify?
That is 100% true, storytelling, because your job is to entertain the listener and to, connect with them. Because these days, Spotify and YouTube Music still cannot connect with personal stories. Yes, you can hear a podcast, but at the same time, if you want to bring both things together, radio is like both things together. You get great music and you also get a little bit of content in there, which I think is like the perfect medium for, in a world with so many options.
So that connection, I guess, for you comes a lot through authenticity and humor and creating stories that way.
And that's what radio is. It's not all about you having the best voice ever. It's all about connecting with the listener and talking to the person you are trying to talk to, and interacting with them, like even on the text line, on the phone lines, if they call in, and I've actually received calls of people airing their grievances, and talk to them, relate to them, and when you do that, they feel important, and that means you are doing your job.
It's a really beautiful idea, making someone feel heard and seen and important.
And when you make their day, and even for someone even someone that has to deal with a really bad day, and you made them happy, that's like the best thing ever. Like for example, a few years ago, I will always remember this. A listener phoned in, and she won a prize. She was like, oh my goodness, you just made my day. My day was so crappy. Nothing worked in the office, and I had to deal with problem after problem, and it just makes me so happy when someone when you know that you did your job to make them feel better, even on a bad day.
It's also really cool too, I think at least, that you can connect with someone without actually physically being in the same space as them, because it's like your voice that you're sharing over the radio, and you're still able to like make someone's day and change everything.
Absolutely, and radio reaches far. It reaches into regular radio. You can listen on your device, on the apps. You can pretty much listen everywhere. Like you can listen on your smart speaker and all the Google Home, the Alexa, and it also requires the love. People, coming into this industry, it really requires you to love it and to love creating content, and as well care. There needs to always be care in it.
Speaking of folks coming into the industry, what advice would you have for people wanting to get into radio?
My advice is to reach out. If you have a favorite radio station that you want to work in, you gotta reach out. Even if they don't reply, just reach out. Because at the end of the day, I always tell myself the biggest mistake is to not send that email. Because when I was young, coming into this industry, I was that person, oh my goodness, I might offend them. I'm so scared that I'm going to offend that person. Well, no, you're not going to offend them. At the end of the day, the worst thing they could say is no. that's pretty, and they do expect, like radio bosses do expect you to reach out to them. I would also recommend to, be able to do everything in radio. It's not just being on air. You also want to expand your horizon when it comes to promotions, so creating the contest, managing it. There's also production, which I also manage that. And there's sales. So there are lots of departments that you should be open to. It's not just on air, because a lot of like in my experience, a lot of people when they go to radio school, they would be like, I want to do I want to just be on the air. That's it. Be on the air and nothing else. And that's like, because as the industry evolves, you have to be open to doing everything.
Is there a favorite spot for you with that idea of doing everything? Is your favorite, I guess, being on air, or is it kind of doing the back end of the production work or the promotions? What's your favorite?
I'll tell you this, throughout throughout the time being in radio, I kind of fell in love with everything. I fell in love with promotions, because I actually started in promotions. I worked at a radio station in Edmonton as a street teamer, and then got my on-air job 2 years later, which was like the most exciting time. Then now I am involved with production. Being the Jack and Jill of the industry, it really makes you feel good that if you want to move to something, if you want to move somewhere else to work in radio, you would be able to do it, and you're able to adapt to whatever this industry throws at you.
How do you deal with the, I guess, uncertainty, or having to be so adaptable in an industry that is constantly changing?
Oh, you just have to keep up with the trends, keep up with stay in contact with program directors, and just be open to doing other things too, because being in radio is not just being on the air, working at a radio station. Your skills, experience, you can work for other companies too, like marketing, social media, because you have all these skills. You gotta, take advantage of it. Because I know people, who left radio, they went on to things like communications with companies. So you just have to, be open to doing whatever, but at the same time, taking advantage of that experience and skill.
What do you think is the most important skill for someone to have if they're coming into radio?
The most important skill right now would be just being adaptable. I always tell people, you got to be adaptable. You can't just there are in the last 5-10 years there are cuts at radio stations, and you just have to be really, really adaptable and be open, try new things too, because trying new things at the end of the day is the best thing you can do.
What do you think makes a good either radio host or someone with a different position, I guess, behind the scenes, kind of open-ended?
What makes a good radio host? It depends. It's very subjective, because what makes a good radio host is be open to taking an opportunity that upper management throws at you, because at the end of the day, you can't stop learning in this industry. Because if you're saying, oh, I'm not comfortable, oh, I don't want to do this, oh, I don't want to do that, I tell myself, try it. At the end of the day, if you don't try, you will never know. That's the thing.
How do you like to prep for your shows?
I would take a look at news websites, what's happening locally. Always check things that are happening locally, because you want to relate to your community. With that, we have a news department. We have a news website just next door from us, and we just I just look at those stories and see, you know, which ones are relatable, which ones are not as relatable, but which ones are, you know, that would really interest the listeners, and you just talk about it and deliver it in a way that social media can't, because you gotta think creativity. You gotta think creative. You gotta think really creative when it comes to that. So you just want to make sure that you are delivering that break that social media can't, and people will have to go to the radio, you know, to hear it.
How do you find the balance of, like, I guess, news and things that the listener needs to know, and then mixing that with your storytelling, the elements of entertainment and fun?
Like, you know, mixing it with news, it's like, you know, there's like, there has to be a balance. You know, there are lots of feel-good stories, and at the same time, you know, when there are emergencies, you gotta make sure that you're adaptable. You're staying calm when dealing with breaking news in the community. Like I would say, just a few weeks ago, there was a wildfire just north of town, and you know, everything has to change. Everything, the way you deliver stuff, it has to change. Like my boss had to deal with that, so my boss was doing the afternoon show that day. But it's just you gotta remain calm. Make sure that you're delivering that information to the listener in the best way possible, and as accurate as possible, because they are relying on you for that information.
How do you stay calm in those situations?
You know, we're all human at the end of the day. You just try. You really do try. You also have to tell yourself that, you know, I am human. Your listeners are human. You just have to keep telling yourself that in your head. Remain calm. You know, things will work out. Hopefully, always, and just make sure that you're delivering all that information to the listener that, you know, they depend on you for.
In your show, you're the midday host. Would you ever want to, or do you prefer to have some sort of like co-host or interviewee or someone that you get to kind of go back and forth with?
You know, when I would say, you know, we don't have the luxury of having a co-host during the midday hours, but it's always fun to have a listener that would call in, and, you know, you going back and forth with them. It's really a strong connection with them, and also, you know, when a community member, they come in and they talk about, you know, their event, that also means a lot, because it's fun to, you know, go back and forth with them. Unless you find really, like, there are, but at the same time, you do have to learn that, you know, most of the time it's only you, and you always have to pretend that you're talking to a friend. The mic is your friend.
How was that experience of kind of learning to speak to the mic as a person and your friend?
Oh, it's like a process. You know, starting out in radio, we're always taught that you're talking to only one person. That's why we don't say, "Hey everyone," "Hi everyone." And of course, we've all made that mistake when we started in the industry. And then, you know, throughout the years, you learn from that. You gain the experience to not do that. It's always you, because at the end of the day, you want to have a strong connection with that listener that is listening.
What would you say is maybe the most challenging aspect of all the work that you do?
The most challenging aspect, when it comes to that, it's technical difficulties, technical issues, because you need to do your job. Without your equipment, you're like, oh my goodness, how am I gonna get this done? Because it's due tomorrow. That commercial doesn't air. It doesn't air at 6:01. It airs at 6. So you gotta get it done. And in those situations, you really have to remain calm, because that's that's how you can deal with it. And at the same time, you have to make sure that you report all of the equipment failures to the boss, so they can diagnose it and get it fixed. And that's the most stressful part when it comes to being in production and also being on the air.
Yeah, because it's something that you really have no control over. Technology just decides to work or not work.
Like before we got a new radio board, our board actually died midday. I know, it died midday and won't start again.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was like a few years ago.
Oh, I was like, what did you all do?
we went to emergency equipment. We had some
okay.
emergency equipment in the back, so we had, and my production room was actually converted into a on-air studio.
Oh, wow.
Until we got a new radio on-air board, and then everything was good again. Yeah.
Gotta have those bad times with the good so you can learn to appreciate the good,
Oh yeah, you don't take it for granted.
With the good, what is your favorite part or the most rewarding part of everything that you do here?
The most rewarding part is, making people happy, making everyone happy in the community, connecting with community members, and that's what makes the job really interesting. Because, at the end of the day, if you walk out on the street and they come up and tell you, oh, I really love your show, I always listen every single day, and even when they mention like a topic that you talked about like a few days ago or even a few weeks ago, oh my goodness, a few weeks ago, and they said, oh, I heard you talking about you dropping that pot of soup, and oh, I feel so bad for you. That you did connect with the listener if they remember what you said on the air.
With that, where do you hope to see yourself, maybe as a host or in other aspects of production, in like 5 years?
In like 5 years, I have always, I always have a love for this industry, and I always want to make this industry better. I see myself in 5 years, working as a programmer, program director, being the boss, because when I see, there are negative people about this industry. Oh, this industry is not doing so well, and I'm like, no. The only thing is, it takes good people to make good radio, because it still works. There are still lots of people listening. I'll tell you this, in the last few weeks, we've reached over 35,000 people. Oh, wow. In a town with only like 25,000, because we have a lot of transients in this town, and we have done so well, and all it takes is good people on the radio, people that care.
Yeah. Speaking of that good radio, where do you hope to see Moose FM in the next 5 years?
I would see, see them doing well, doing well in sales, expanding, into other services too. Like, we don't just do radio, we also do social media, we also do manage people's social, or companies or like businesses' social media accounts. We do news, and as in 5 years, I hope the station does really well, making money, being financially stable, and also keeping the listeners informed and entertained.
And then last question, it doesn't have to be specific to radio or anything, but what is the best piece of advice you've received throughout your life?
My best piece of advice would be, don't beat yourself up when you make a mistake. Because if you keep beating yourself up, you're gonna do worse and worse and worse. So learn from it and just move on.
Great, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hey everyone, just finished up with Bernard at Moose FM. So much fun. I love chatting with Bernard. He's so wonderful.
Yeah, he's always a great interview. Always very engaging, which is great. Such a sweet guy. The whole team is, honestly.
Yeah, they're all so nice. The amount of people that like checked in on us when we were waiting at first because we were like too early, and they're like, "You've been helped, right? Do you guys need anything?" I was like, "Oh, my heart.
Yeah.
Super fun, engaging, great. Listen to Moose FM if you're in the Fort St. John area, and if you're not, look into it because they offer like, I don't know what it's called. If you are a television and radio broadcasting student, you can do like the practicum. That's what it's called.
Yes.
I think they offer practicums. We were chatting about that a bit earlier with Bernard. So check it out if it's of interest to you.